This episode of Moist Meter brought to you by GodSlap Issue 2. Go to godslapbook.com to order your copy now.
Initiating moisture.
Hey, happy holidays. Welcome back to the Moisties, the most important holiday of the season. This is the top 5 best movies of the year. We just recently covered all of the turbo stinkers with the 5 worst movies, so let's flip the coin and go to the other side with the best movies that came out this year. I'll be the first to admit, hasn't been an amazing year for high quality films, but we have had a couple huge standouts, and they've absolutely made the list. So let's start from the top. At number 5, we have Avatar: Way of Water, a movie I went into with lukewarm expectations, but walked away pleasantly surprised, like turning on a bidet for the first time. It was just refreshing. I knew that the visuals were probably going to be good, like very good, but I didn't think there'd be some kind of technological breakthrough where James Cameron would be able to redefine visual effects like he did back in 2009, because right now, in this day and age, all movies look unreal with their visuals. So I just didn't think it'd be anything that would like actually blow my mind, and it did. I still don't really understand how James Cameron pulled it off, but the visuals in this movie are unlike anything else that has come before it. It is truly breathtaking, and thankfully it's not a one-trick pony here. This isn't just a 3-hour tech demo showing off beautiful visuals. It is like a very good movie. Like, it's a very fun movie where it fixed a lot of the problems I thought the first one had, which is a ton of downtime that was just boring and kind of uninteresting with characters you never really cared about. This movie introduces a ton of new characters, all of which have a pretty decent amount of screen time to flesh them out, and by the end of the movie, you do care about pretty much all of them. Like, it did a really good job of introducing these characters and making you like them. And there's never that downtime that I think is boring. There, of course, is those very slow moments throughout the film. I mean, it's a fucking 3-hour movie. There's, of course, going to be moments where it's not nuts to butts action. And during those times, I never got bored like I did with the first one. And the entire last hour of this film is just a full-blown war. Like, it's just non-stop action and battle. And it's all really, really good. It wasn't just like static shooting from behind cover and then like talking. Like, there was a lot going on, a ton of moving parts, and a ton of combatants all going at it. So the entire last hour was extremely great, but overall the entire movie I thought was really great as well. Moving on to number 4, this is going to Glass Onion, the new Knives Out movie. It just hit Netflix, and I just watched it tonight as of making this top 5 list, and I just really, really enjoyed it. I was a huge fan of the first Knives Out. You might remember that also made the top 5 Moisties back when that was released. And now we have a two-timer here. We have a back-to-back champion for the franchise, because Glass Onion makes the number 4 spot here. Glass Onion focuses on the world's greatest detective once again putting his unrivaled wit to the test to solve yet another complex and confounding mystery, this time on an island, a private island where the entire premise was a game where someone is murdered, but that game turns a bit sour when a real murder occurs. This movie's a lot more whimsical and a lot more leaning into the silly side of the genre than the first Knives Out. The first Knives Out, of course, had its like goofy moments, and it really leaned into comedy as well there. But this one really does go whole hog on the humor, and I think it does it very well. It certainly lands, and it's a really entertaining and enjoyable movie. The mystery is alive and well, and it's super fun to try and piece together who you think is the killer, who's guilty. Everyone has all of these interesting motives and complex threads woven throughout with plenty of twists and turns that you'd expect from a mystery murder genre movie. Now, I will say at times it feels like I was just watching Blanc on a vacation, because he made this shit look like child's play. He's like L from Death Note, but with a southern accent, like a southern drawl. In fact, he's more like the One Punch Man of crime. Like, he's able to just show up and be like, yep, I actually know exactly everything that's going on here. So for some people it might feel like a little too easy for Blanc with this case in particular, but that doesn't mean that it's still not fun for the viewer to try and piece it together themselves, and it's still very rewarding and a very enjoyable ride. So I did very much enjoy it, and I'm super excited for the third Knives Out, because I think they have one more in production. At number 3, we have The Batman. I'm never a big fan of like soft reboots and shit like that, and to make another new Batman played by someone else is an extremely difficult task, especially with something like The Dark Knight already existing. But I thought they did a really good job here with this movie. It of course hits similar beats to Batman movies you're used to seeing because it's fucking Batman. But I think they hit them in different ways. For example, everyone knows Gotham is a shithole, but this is the first Batman movie where I watched it and I'm like, wow, that is a super shithole. Like, that is a plus ultra pile of dog shit city. It shows you just how awful it must be to live in Gotham, how corrupt, gross, even just dilapidated at times and seedy everything is. Like, they really do a good job of making Gotham itself a character in the film where you're like, oh, fucking yucky, ew, Gotham. And then I do think they did a great job with Robert Pattinson as Batman. I thought him being a very, very broody, serious, dark, and even scary Batman worked pretty well. Like, I liked the brutality of, like, the Batman they portrayed here. Now, you might remember my moist meter for the film. One of my big complaints was I didn't really like that Bruce Wayne was also equally emo and broody, whereas usually the Batman I'm used to seeing is Batman is super serious and super scary, and Bruce Wayne is like this eccentric playboy, super wealthy guy, like, hey, I'm fucking all these models, and oh, here's $2,000 that just fell out of my pocket, woo, like going crazy, like just really like happy-go-lucky. It's a stark contrast between Bruce Wayne and Batman, but in this movie, Bruce Wayne is just as broody and dark and grim as the Batman. So at first, I didn't really like that, but now after talking to some friends, and I of course have read some people's comments about it, I do buy into the idea that it shows his obsession with being Batman, and I think that is pretty cool. Like, I am excited to see how they explore that, because him being the same even when he's Bruce Wayne is an interesting dynamic that is new to the character, at least to me, and I do want to see how they explore that going forward, because it does clearly show that he has truly become Batman. Even when he's not in the costume, he is still Batman. He's no longer putting on a show. He is just that guy. And I do want to see how that grows in future movies, assuming they do more in the universe. But the big standout is still the Riddler. I still love the Riddler in this film. Like I mentioned, I always found the Riddler to be kind of lame and a little silly, but here he is very far from that. He is like actually super intimidating and really fucking cool. So I did enjoy the movie, and I definitely think it's deserving of the number 3 spot on this list. Moving on to number 2, it's Everything Everywhere All at Once. This was a movie that certainly lived up to the hype. I came very tardy to the party on this one. I didn't even moist meter this because it took me so long to see it. I ended up watching it on the plane ride to Moist Esports Rocket League World Championship. My first plane ride in 6 years. I was absolutely traumatized, but I had Everything Everywhere All at Once to keep me company. And what a great companion it was. Suckling on its bosom for comfort, I enjoyed the shit out of this film. Everything you've heard about it, all of the praise is warranted. Everything Everywhere All at Once is an extremely creative movie, unlike anything I've ever seen before. And every moment of it, it's like a movie that has everything for everyone. It has comedy. It has very, very well done emotional moments that I can absolutely see a lot of people shedding tears over. I know a lot have. There were times where I was getting emotional watching it. It has a really great choreography for its action. It has a lot of fight scenes. It has like actual martial arts, like combat. Everything in this movie, it bites off a lot, but it can chew all of it. It never gets overwhelmed or, washed out, burnt out on any genre in there. Everything that it brings to the party, it absolutely crushes. And I love how unafraid and unapologetic it is with leaning into the wackiness of the concept of like all of these dimensions and everything like that. The fucking hot dog fingers and everything. Even butt plug moments. All of it just worked so well in this film. And it's a hard film to describe to someone that doesn't know anything about it because it offers so much. And I really appreciated that. I thought they absolutely killed it. Everything Everywhere All at Once is an amazing, amazing achievement. Especially for the budget, too. This was not a huge budget production, but you would never know that just from watching it. An unbelievable film I can't recommend enough. Now, moving on to the number 1 spot, the Golden Shower winner. And a surprise to absolutely no one, it's Top Gun Maverick. This movie absolutely exploded, and for good reason. It is just like the most like fun, feel good, have a good time, sit back and be entertained kind of movie I've seen in a long time. This movie had one goal and it absolutely achieved it. It just wanted to entertain you. It wanted nothing more than to put a smile on your little face. showing you some tense action, absolutely amazing piloting, a good story, nothing like you've never seen before. The story's not unique or anything, but it's a good narrative that you can't help but get behind. And I do like that it didn't take the cop out of making a beloved character from the first Top Gun kind of like obsolete and sidelined here. He's still forefront and he's still the fucking best. And now he's taking his knowledge as being like the best goddamn pilot in the world and teaching the youth who are already very good to be better. And it works really well. Of course, there's fighting with the new pilots as they compete with one another in dick measuring competitions about who's the best pilot, who's got the best skills, who can match up to Tom Cruise, who can match up to Maverick. Like, should we even respect Maverick? And then Maverick goes out there and does all kinds of crazy fucking maneuvers and embarrasses them, humbles them. Like, it's just a fun movie. I don't know any other word to describe it. It's got a great soundtrack. It's got tension. It's got a good narrative that it's not reinventing the wheel. It's playing it safe with its story, but it's a fun story that still is executed well. And of course, its bread and butter is the way that it delivers all of the action sequences in the actual aircrafts, which are masterfully done. It is just a great film. I think it's like one of the top 10 highest grossing films of all time now, and rightfully so. It absolutely crushed it. It did everything that it set out to do, and it did it very, very well. So I think it was the best movie of the year, and yeah, that concludes the top 5 best movies for the Moisties of 2022. GodSlap is a comic book series we've been working on for a couple years now. It's a hyper-violent, over-the-top sci-fi story about the beauty and destruction that slaps can cause. Issue 2 is out right now. It'd make a wonderful Christmas gift, so make sure to check it out at GodSlapBook.com. Right now, we also have 3 variant covers that are in stock, but the second those sell out, those variant covers will never be restocked, so definitely make sure to pick up a copy today.